Welcome to ANS Solver question 3 of this paper. So for part A, they are asking us to calculate the perimeter of the field A, B, C, D, E. Now, perimeter would be adding all the sides of the field, so that would be 50 plus 100 plus 170 plus. So now the two sides that we don't know we can easily find by using the Pythagoras theorem, because both the sides are from a right angle triangle, but one triangle, that is this triangle BCD, we don't know the base of the triangle. So therefore we will use we will calculate the third side by doing the hypotenuse square minus the second side square, so minus 150 square. So what I did here, I just made the base of the triangle the subject of the formula of a hypotenuse of not hypotenuse of the Pythagoras theorem. And for the last side, that is DE, it's a right angle triangle, so we can just use the formula of Pythagoras theorem. So that is the root of 50 square plus 120 square. So now all we need to do is input this into the calculator, and we will get our final answer for part A. So so how we do that is simply 50 plus 100 plus 170, which is equal to 320 plus, okay, so now we have to work out the sides that we don't know. So 170 square is equal to 28,900 minus 150 square, which is equal to 6,400, my bad, and the root of that, so that would be 80. So this would be the side CD, that is 80, plus the last side, that is DE, so that would be 50 square plus 120 square, and the root of that, which would be 130. So 130 would be the side DE, 130 meters, and therefore the final answer for part A would be 130 plus 80 plus 320, which would give us 530 meters as the perimeter for this entire shape. Now let's move to part B of this question, where they are asking us to calculate the angle ABD. Okay, so the angle ABD is this angle, and how we do that is by using the cos rule. So the cos rule is a square plus a square is equal to b square plus c square minus 2bc multiplied by cos a, and in this case we have to find the angle, so a would be the variable that we need to find. Now the three sides are 120, 150 and 100. Now the side opposite to the angle that we are finding has to be a, so that would be 120 square is equal to, now which side you take as B and C, that won't make a difference, you can take any side. So 100 square plus 150 square minus 2 times B multiplied by C multiplied by cos A. So now all we need to do is solve this equation for A. So 120 square is equal to 14,400. Now we can take the 100 square plus 150 square to the other side of the equation, so it will become minus 100 square, which is equal to 10,000, plus 150 square, which is equal to 32,500, and this is equal to minus 2 times 100 times 150, so 30,000 cos A. Therefore cos A will be equal to 14,400 minus 32,500 divided by 30,000. So that would be 14,400 minus 32,500. So cos A would be equal to 18,100 divided by 30,000. So the minus and minus would get cancelled from each other. So therefore a would be equal to cos inverse of this fraction, because when you take a function to the other side of the equation, it becomes the inverse of the function. So therefore cos inverse of 18,100 divided by 30,000 is equal to 52.89 and therefore A is equal to 52.9 degrees, and this will be your final answer for part B, because the fourth significant figure, which is 9 in this case, is greater than equal to 5, so it will round off the 8 to the next number. Therefore 52.9 being your final answer for part B of this question. Now let's move to part C. So for part C1, they are asking you to calculate the angle CBD. Now CBD is this angle. Now we can easily calculate that by using a trigonometric function, because we know all three sides of the triangle. So we can use either sine, cos or tan. So you could use any of them, you will reach the same answer. So let's use, say for example, the sine rule. So sine x would be equal to 80 divided by 170. So sine x would be equal to 80 divided by 170. Therefore x would be equal to sine inverse of 80 divided by 70. As I said before, if you take a function to the other side of the equation, it becomes the inverse of the function. So therefore sine inverse of 80 divided by 170, which will give you your answer as 28.072486. And since you need to give your answer in three significant figures, your final answer will be 28.1 degrees. This is because the fourth significant figure, which is 7, is greater than equal to 5. So it will round off the third significant figure to the next number. Now let's move to part C2. So for part C2, the point C is due north of the point B, and they've asked us to find the bearing of D from B. So this is the vertical line above B, and we need to find the bearing of D from B, so that whenever we find a bearing, we have to go in the clockwise direction. So that would be in this direction. So this would be, it would be this entire angle that we have to find. Now so all we need to do is 360 minus the angle CBD that we just found. So therefore 360 minus 28.072486 is equal to 360. So 360 minus 28.072486 is equal to 331.9275, and therefore your final answer will be 332 degrees, because the fourth significant figure or rather, instead of giving in three significant figures, it's better to give up to one decimal place. So your final answer would be 331.9. So this is because the second decimal place, which is 2, is lesser than equal to 5, so it won't round off 9 to the next number, and therefore 331.9 degrees will be your final answer for part C2. Now let's move to part D of this question, where they are asking you to calculate the area of the field ABCDE. Now there are three triangles, so we can simply calculate the area of each triangle. Two of them will be easy because there are two right angle triangles, so let's calculate them first. So half multiplied by the base multiplied by the height. So the base of the leftmost triangle, that is AED, is 50 and the height is 120. So half multiplied by 50 multiplied by 120 plus, now let's calculate the second right angle triangle. So half multiplied by the base, which is 80, and the height is 150. So half multiplied by 80 multiplied by the height, which is 150. And the last triangle is not a right angle triangle, so we will use the formula half multiplied by A multiplied by B multiplied by sine C. So A and B are two sides such that the angle that we'll use for sine C, both the sides will be on either side of that angle, so that angle will be in between both those sides. So we will use the side of 100 and 150 because we calculated the angle ABD. So half multiplied by 100 multiplied by 150 multiplied by sine of the value of the angle ABD that we calculated above is 52.8909. So sine of 52.8909. Therefore, now all we need to do is input this in your calculator. So 50 multiplied by 120 multiplied by half is equal to 3000, plus 80 multiplied by 150 multiplied by half is equal to 6000, plus plus 100 multiplied by 150 multiplied by sine of 52.8909 multiplied by half is equal to 5981.160857. Therefore, you will get the sum of this as 14,981.16086. Now, this is in the so since all the units are in meters, this area would be in the area would have a unit of meter square, whereas they want us to give our answer in hectares. So they are telling us 1 hectare is 10,000. They are telling us that 10,000 meters square is equal to 1 hectare. So we have to calculate how many hectares 14,981.16086 meters square is. So now we can simply cross multiply. So it would be 10,000x is equal to 14,981.16086 meters square. Therefore, x will be equal to 14.9811686. Therefore, x would be equal to 10,000. So it will be 1.4, not 14. So 1.4. Therefore, your final answer for part D would be 1.5 hectares. And this is because the third significant figure in this case, the fourth significant figure in this case, which is 8, will round off the third significant figure, which is 9. So 1 will get carried forward. Therefore, 1.5 hectares will be our final answer for part D of this question.